Most people who begin seeking truth are first told, you are not the body. Then, you are not the mind. Then comes the final idea, you are the witness. Sounds profound, doesn't it? But I want to ask you, who is witnessing this so-called witness? Because the moment you call yourself the witness, a subtle identity has already formed. And that too is a trap. I would say that you are not even the witness. Let me say that again. You are not even the witness. Why? Because the witness is still a concept. It is still a position, a perspective, a vantage point. The mind creates it. The moment you say, I am the witness, the I has quietly crept back in. Now you have only created a more subtle identity, a spiritual version of the ego. Let me explain. Every time we say, I am this or I am that, we are adding a layer. Even if the label is refined, like the observer, the seer, the silent witness, it is still a label, still a limitation. The pure self, the real you, is not witnessing something. It is not apart from the scene. It is not inside the body, watching from behind the eyes. No, that again is imagination. It is because you have not dropped the final illusion, the belief in being someone. The ego has many disguises. It can play the villain, it can play the victim, but its cleverest disguise, the seeker, the observer, the witness. Why? Because this version of the ego feels spiritual. It meditates, it reflects, it watches thoughts come and go. It sounds like it has transcended, but it hasn't. This is why the mind loves the idea of witnessing, because it gives you the illusion of progress while still keeping you in the game. The truth is not something you witness. You are the truth. But even that is not quite it, is it? Because the moment I say you are the truth, you imagine a you realizing a truth. Two things. That's duality. But what I'm pointing to is this. When all concepts drop, when there is no one left to observe, no one to claim awareness, what remains is what you truly are. It does not require your mind, it does not need your effort, it is already the case. Try this. Stop holding on to any label, not even awareness. Don't say, I am the witness or I am observing thoughts. Let go of all that. And in that moment of absolute stillness, without grabbing any thought, without seeking any position, just rest. What remains? That, without name, form, or idea, is what you are. It never began. It cannot end. It doesn't need to be witnessed because it is. In fact, all of us do experience this multiple times a day, although each experience lasts just a fraction of a second. Let me explain. The mind cannot hold or process two thoughts at the exact same moment. Even when you feel flooded by thoughts, they occur in rapid succession, not simultaneously. One thought arises, then another follows, in a continuous linear stream. These thoughts may be disjointed, emotionally charged, or tied to different memories, but they still arise one at a time. Now, between the end of one thought and the arising of the next, there is a micro gap, a fraction of a moment in which there is no thought at all. In that moment, the mind is truly thoughtless. That fleeting instant is not something you do or create. It simply is. You don't need to extend it or catch hold of it. You only need to notice that it occurs naturally. And what remains in that gap is not absence, but presence, free from identity, form, or movement. And that is your real self. So remember, being the witness may sound higher than being the body or mind, but it is still an identity, still a veil, still a trap. You don't need to become anything. You don't need to hold on to anything. You only need to see that the seeker, the observer, and even the witness are all just thoughts. When that is seen clearly, what remains is not someone seeing. It is pure being itself, and it has no name. Now you may ask, what difference does it make? Well, it makes all the difference. When you truly see that you are not the body, not the mind, not even the witness, but the formless reality behind all of it, a silent shift begins to happen. You stop reacting the way you used to. You stop taking things personally because you no longer see others as separate from you. When you see the self in all beings, hatred cannot take root. Envy begins to dissolve, and comparison becomes meaningless. You realize that person who wronged me is also me in another form. That success, that failure, that insult, that praise, all of it arises in the same space I am. This clarity is not just intellectual. It changes the way you speak, behave, and respond to life. You stop chasing illusions. You stop clinging to identities, and instead of trying to become something, you begin to function from clarity. And that's where life gets better, not because you run away from it, but because you finally engage with it without fear, comparison, or confusion. This isn't about renouncing the world. It's about seeing it rightly and living fully with intelligence and inner strength. That's how this understanding can transform your life. If you have made it this far, I thank you for listening. May this clarity serve you well in your journey through life. Thank you.